One of the most prevalent pop culture rumors of all time is that Khloe Kardashian is, in fact, not a biological Kardashian.
The 31-year-old reality star has been at the center of paternity rumors for years.
I know what mixed children look like. I have mixed children. She's so obviously mixed.
The paternity of Khloe Kardashian stuff. This story, it's just not going away.
The theory goes that Kris Jenner, Khloe's mom, had an affair around the time of her conception, and that Robert Kardashian, the father of the other Kardashian kids, is not Khloe's biological dad. And there's a number of different men that people have theorized could be Khloe's real dad, if it's not Robert. I personally have seen this rumor floating around for as long as I can remember, so I'm making this video to break down what the specific speculation actually is, and what evidence, if any, there is to back it up. While I was researching this, I found out a ton of really bizarre and interesting revelations about the Kardashian family, so I hope you stick around for that. I just want to say quickly that the truth doesn't really matter here. Biology only tells you so much. Obviously, Robert Kardashian raised Khloe and will always be her dad. Plus, we have no way of really knowing what the truth is. But this is just a fun video breaking down the conspiracy theory since it's already something widely speculated about. So, a quick bit of background. Robert Kardashian and Kris Jenner, then Kris Houghton, married in 1978 and went on to have 4 kids. Kourtney in 1979, Kim in 1980, Khloe in 1984, and Rob in 1987. And when you look at pictures of them when they're young, Kourtney, Kim, and Rob all really resemble their dad. They've got the strong Armenian features, the dark hair and eyes, the widow's peak, and they all look very similar to one another. But Khloe obviously physically stands out. And this continued as they grew up, with Khloe having pale skin and light hair and generally just looking very different to her siblings. Even as adults, this trend persists. Robert was 5'7" and Kris is 5'5". Kim and Kourtney are both pretty short at around 5'2", with Rob being around 5'11". But Khloe clocks in at 5'10", so still very different to her sisters. Now genetics are wild, and this obviously isn't definitive proof of anything. But there's some pretty interesting information about what was going on in the Kardashian family at the time that could support the idea that there's some truth in these rumors. On Keeping Up with the Kardashians in 2012, one episode revolves around these rumors, with almost the entire family, especially Kris, encouraging Khloe to get a paternity test to finally end these rumors and her own doubts. Khloe reluctantly goes through with the test, but the episode ends with her deciding not to look at the results because she says Robert will be her dad no matter what the test says.
I have had a blessing of having 2 phenomenal fathers, and I don't need a DNA test to prove that to me.
And obviously this is true, but it's interesting that this seems to imply that she does still have doubts about her paternity. But this is all highly produced, scripted reality TV, so we can take everything said here with a pinch of salt. However, what's really interesting is that 1 year later, Robert Kardashian's widowed wife Ellen Pearson did a huge tell-all interview with In Touch Weekly. As well as giving them exclusive insights into Robert's diary, she alleged that in the last few months of his life, Robert confided in her that he knew that Khloe was not his biological daughter, but that he loved her just as much as Kourtney, Kim, and Rob regardless. And this allegation was supported by Joni Migdal, a family friend of the Kardashians and close friend of Robert's, who said he didn't want a DNA test done. He didn't want to find out anything, but he knew she wasn't his. His confirmation to me was, she's mine and I don't care who the father is. As well as this allegation, In Touch Weekly published alleged photos from Robert's diary, which are dated from 1989 to 1990, shortly before Kris and Robert's divorce in 1991, after Robert discovered that she had been having an affair with Todd Waterman for years.
My parents got a divorce because my mom had an affair.
I've paid a price for what happened to me in my life, and I would hope that none of you have to go through the same things I went through.
Okay, I don't want to keep talking about this. I don't relate to it. I don't understand it.
Importantly, Robert was aware of the affair during the writings of these diary entries. They just hadn't actually gotten divorced yet. An entry from December 15, 1989 states, Todd drove up to the back gate and parked. He went in the house and slept in my bed. Khloe and Robert were in the house. He later wrote about Kris on Christmas Day 1989, saying, she doesn't care. She left the kids and screwed all night. Kris couldn't get her act together to spend Christmas with her children. I was home alone with 4 kids. I put them to bed and played with them. And I have to say, this is all pretty believable. It's been largely rumored Kris had multiple affairs and was constantly partying during her marriage to Robert and the early years of the 4 Kardashian kids. The diaries also contain some pretty concerning allegations, including that Kris beat Kim until she was hysterical and said she was going to kill her, and Kim would have been 9 at the time. In other parts of the alleged diary, Robert says that Kris would frequently lock herself in her room for days at a time to recover from hangovers from partying, and that she would fail to pick up her kids from school because she was with Todd. And one part of the diary that is the most interesting to me, although not really relevant but whatever, is that even though they were still kids, Robert predicted how all 4 would turn out as adults. He said that Kourtney would grow up to resent Kris, Kim would turn out just like her mom and be attracted to success and money and glamour. Khloe would be the most free-spirited and do whatever she wants. And he said that he was worried about Rob, who he thought seemed very confused. And it's funny that these predictions turned out to be shockingly accurate. The Kardashian family's initial response to the diaries and all of the allegations within them was that Ellen Pearson forged them for attention. Ellen denied this publicly, saying she's just sharing what their dad said. However, the Kardashians seemed to quietly admit to the truth of these diaries by filing a complaint for copyright infringement against Ellen, saying she had published private property, a lawsuit that was eventually settled out of court. And the whole point in sharing this is that I don't think the claims that Kris potentially had more than one affair during this time are unreasonable, based on a number of accounts of how she acted. And this behavior, combined with Khloe's differing looks to the other Kardashians, has led to decades of rumors about who Khloe's real dad is. And I'm going to break down each suspect. The most interesting one, though not the most likely in my opinion, is O.J. Simpson. O.J. met Robert back in 1967 when they both attended USC. They became close friends, and in the 1970s, Robert started dating Kris, and O.J. started dating Nicole Brown. I'm sure you all know where this story ends, but at this time, the 4 of them were close friends, often going on double dates. Come 1978, Robert and Kris got married, with O.J. as the best man, and he's allegedly the godfather of Kim Kardashian. I say allegedly because O.J. referred to himself as Kim's godfather. In Kris's 2011 self-titled memoir, she said that her affair with Todd Waterman began in 1989, 2 years after the birth of her final child with Robert. She does say that Todd made her feel wanted and appreciated for the first time in around a decade. So she's seemingly admitting that she was unhappy for most of her marriage to Robert, and this, combined with her wild partying rumors, does add to the possibility that she may have had another affair other than Todd. The rumor that she had an affair with O.J. comes around because after Robert discovered her affair with Todd, they got divorced in 1991. And just 1 year later, Nicole Brown and O.J. split. It's said that Robert and O.J. remained close friends, as did Nicole and Kris. However, Kris and O.J. did maintain a close friendship too. And this seems a little odd because Robert and Kris's divorce was so messy. So why was O.J. hanging out with his best friend's ex-wife? And also, there were already plenty of rumors about violence between O.J. and Nicole. So why would Kris be hanging out with him if she's Nicole's friend? And this slightly odd friendship has led to some people thinking that there may have been more going on between Kris and O.J., and possibly that something had happened a few years before, around when Khloe was born. I personally find the rumor that O.J. is Khloe's dad to be one of the less believable theories, considering I don't find the physical resemblance between them to be that strong. One reason why some people think it's true is because O.J. and Robert eventually fell out and never rekindled their 30-year friendship before Robert's death in 2003, and some think it might be because he discovered an affair. However, I think there is a much more likely explanation. Nicole Brown was murdered in 1994, with O.J. going on trial for the murder. I won't get into the minutiae of the trial, but Robert was one of O.J.'s defense attorneys, and O.J. was eventually found not guilty. But in 1996, Robert told ABC reporter Barbara Walters that he had doubts about O.J.'s innocence, and I think it's more likely that this is why they stopped speaking. O.J. also explicitly denied the rumors of his and Kris's affair, saying he thought Kris was a cute girl, but never would have dated her. And Kris also denied having an affair with him in a 2013 interview. One final little juicy detail before I move on is that another one of O.J.'s lawyers, Malcolm LaVerge, revealed that the Kardashians had privately reached out to him to get O.J. to do a paternity test for Khloe for keeping up with the Kardashians. He said, "The Kardashians have been trying to get a DNA test from my client for years now." Several years ago, around 2013, A producer from Keeping Up with the Kardashians called me up and said Kris had given her blessing for the show to have Mr. Simpson do a paternity test with Khloe. It was made clear to me that Khloe was also involved with this. I was told that having the results of the paternity test shown on TV would be the highest-rated Kardashian show of all time. The producers offered me $10,000 if I could convince Mr. Simpson to do it. And one of OJ's prison guards also argued that this was true, saying he overheard a phone call between Khloe and OJ while he was in prison, where Khloe personally asked OJ to do the DNA test. Although this is bizarre, I don't think it makes the rumors any more true, since if the Kardashians really wanted to end this rumor, they could just go through with what they considered on the show in 2012 and do a DNA test between the sisters to establish whether they are Khloe's full or half-sisters. So I think it's more likely that they were just fishing for content for the show, but it's still very weird. The most plausible alternative father for Khloe is Alex Roldan. The Kardashians have joked about the OJ rumor, but never this one, which might say something. Alex is a longtime close friend of Kris's and was her former hairdresser in the 1980s when Khloe was conceived. Speculation around him initially rose because of the striking physical similarities between him and pre-surgery Khloe. In season 5 of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Bruce, now Caitlyn, visited Alex for a haircut and said that Kris had been close with him for around 25 to 30 years. Khloe was 26 at the time, dating her conception two during the beginning of Kris and Alex's friendship. And as with all of these rumors, there's not a ton of evidence other than the physical similarity. Khloe's middle name is Alexandra, which some people think was Kris's method of dropping Easter eggs. So we're basically left with physical resemblance and Kris's crazy past. One thing I found when I was researching was that one of Kris's close friends, Daniel DeCrisio, said about Kris in the 1980s, she was a big flirt and played around. I've seen Kris do things that would blow people away. And this is very vague, but potentially supports the theory that Kris had more affairs than just Todd during her marriage to Robert. And one final suspect, again with no real evidence, but I just think it's funny, is Lionel Richie. He's a longtime friend of the Kardashian family, and the only real evidence for this is that Khloe looks a bit like him, and particularly looks like his kids, especially Sophia. And if you don't believe any of these rumors, that just leaves us with Robert Kardashian. In 2018, on Keeping Up with the Kardashians, the sisters supposedly did a 23andMe test, which revealed that Khloe is half Middle Eastern, the same as her sisters. And in 2023, Khloe began posting pictures of her son Tatum, and people were taken aback by how much resemblance he bears to her brother Rob and father Robert Kardashian. Like I said at the start, genes are crazy, and I honestly think after seeing these pictures of her son, that the most plausible explanation might just be that she is Robert's biological child and those Armenian genes just skipped past her. When you look at pictures of the Kardashians' grandparents and extended family, there are other people with Khloe's light curly hair and hazel eyes. So maybe this entire rumor is a hoax. Either way, biology isn't everything, and Robert will always be her dad regardless. This is just a bit of fun. Let me know what you think. Please think about subscribing if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.